Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more the dual casting seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which the first special card that we play on our turn, we will play twice. That opens up some unique special card combos that would not be possible in any other event. And today's deck is no exception, so let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Northern Realms Pincer Maneuver deck that focuses on playing one specific card as many times as possible. That card being the Cintrian Royal Guard, because whenever we play this card, it will get boosted based on the number of Cintrian Royal Guards that are already on the board. And in this event, we have several ways to create even more copies of the Royal Guard than usual, making this a fairly easy deck to play that can score an alarming number of points extremely quickly. So I'm just going to go straight to flipping through the deck to show you what we have here, because for the most part, you can assume that everything is either here to, in this case, play a Royal Guard from our deck, likewise with Amphibious Assault, or play a Royal Guard from our graveyard in the case of Renew, or put more Royal Guards into our deck using Foltest, play more Royal Guards with Adalia, bring Royal Guards from our graveyard back into our deck using Pavetta, Necromancy, basically the same thing as Renew, Operator, basically the same thing as Queen Adalia. Then once we have all those Royal Guards out there, we can use Voymir as a finisher to boost them all. Then Reinforcements gives us more Royal Guards. Margarita is purely here just for control in case our opponent has a unit that we really want to lock. Ronvid gives us a little bit of carryover, and in case our opponent is, say, using the Monsters Control deck that we used previously and getting rid of a bunch of our cards with Predatory Dive, then he's a great counter for that. Runeword is basically just here for points in case we don't happen to have a way to get Royal Guards. Same with Zoria Runestone. Then, of course, the Royal Guard himself. Teleportation is here for when we have numerous Royal Guards on the board, you play Teleportation on whichever one is the weakest, namely whichever Royal Guard got there first, because when you play it again, then that guard will get boosted based on all the guards that you have, making this a very high point play. Then Megascope to spawn in more of the Royal Guards. Blue Stripe Scout to create more in our deck. And Dunbanner basically for thinning, and or if for some reason you have Foltest, but you don't have Royal Guards, then you can put the Dunbanner next to Foltest, and that's a great combo as well. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, it is all built around the Cintrian Royal Guards. So the key question is going to be, how many guards can we get? Because the more there are, the more points we will have. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against monsters here, and we'll go first. Okay, so we have both Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy in our hand. That's great. We have at least one Royal Guard in our hand, which means we can use Queen Adalia, although we don't really need the second one in hand, so maybe we get rid of you. And then maybe we get rid of Zoria Runestone, because that doesn't directly contribute to the Royal Guards. Pavetta can certainly help us get Royal Guards from our graveyard back into our deck for a future round, so that's helpful. I think we can put Margarita back into our deck and use one of our tutors to get her if necessary. Okay, Dunbanner is not great. Now, they are monsters, and they are Arachas Swarm, so there is a chance they are using the deck that we used last time or something very similar to it, which means they could very well have something like Predatory Dive. So our first play here is a little bit dangerous. I think we might even deliberately use a Dunbanner here to try to bait out some removal. Okay, yep, natural selection. I mean, that is a good target for it, but that does, in some ways, confirm our suspicion. And another reason why I wanted to do that was so that we could now, on this turn, use Pincer Maneuver, which you can't do on your first turn when your hand is full. And it's not so much the card we're getting here that I care about. I suppose we'll go Runeword just because it's a special card. Then we put Adalia back, and we go Oneiromancy into Foltest, into, we're not going to have enough time to do this, Adalia. It is a Royal Guard, that is what I wanted, but obviously I wanted it next to Foltest. And the reason why I wanted to do all of that was because now if they do use Predatory Dive, which removes both players' lowest units, it would remove the Volunteer, and then the second round would remove Queen Adalia, so we would still keep King Foltest, and we would still keep Cintrian Royal Guard. You know, they're going Crimson Curse here. which is one of their best point slams. But now let's get a Royal Guard actually next to Foltest. Obviously, that's where I wanted this to go, but we ran out of time on our turn. So let's do this. And then we might actually want to row stack to minimize the effects of Blood Moon. And we'll use Engineering Solution on Foltest so that he lasts a little while longer. So now with these two next to each other, that means that we will create additional copies of the Royal Guards in our deck. They're going to use Arachas Venom. We do have some shields, and we are big enough with those Royal Guards that it is not that straightforward for them to remove them. And what we can do now is go Amphibious Assault into one of the Royal Guards. Again, as much as I kind of hate it, we might row stack here. They almost certainly have Lacerate. So, well, tell you the truth, maybe in that case, we do go a little bit in this row as well. Then we get the other Royal Guard. They will, of course, get bigger the more than we have out here. That's the whole point. I don't think they're going to be able to make adjacent units damage each other, but just in case, let's go this route. And we probably should have allowed this Cintrian Royal Guard to get boosted back up by Foltest. Try to keep it around. Now, this is a very easy target for some of their special cards. Okay, it's Naglfar. And then it's Zoltan, which is not enough damage by itself to destroy any of our Royal Guards. But with round 2, okay, they'll go Arachas Behemoth for some points on their side. So now let's go Megascope, and we'll deliberately try to put this next to one of the smaller Cintrian Royal Guards to minimize the impact of any future Arachas Venom plays. They'll pass. Okay, so that means we'll win round 1, and we have created a lot of Cintrian Royal Guards, which is great, because we can then bring them back with Pavetta in round 2. Okay, so we draw into the echoed copies of Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy. We only get one echoed copy of Oneiromancy. We should get the second echoed copy if we swap something else out. So maybe we get rid of Runeword here. There it is. And if we're just looking to play in round 3, that means we still have one card to burn here, in which case that is perfect for Pavetta. So let's stick with this. And we'll just use Pavetta here and bring back all these guys into our deck. And I'm expecting a predatory dive here. No spontaneous evolution, okay. I mean, we're not really looking to play in round 2, I don't think. We could, because we do have the tutors to play all of the Royal Guards we just put back into our deck. But we are at one card disadvantage, and we don't have last say, whereas if we wait until round 3, we'd be on even cards, and we would have last say. So, you know what? Let's keep it simple. We'll play for round 3. So they'll win round 2 in that case. Okay, and we drew into Teleportation and then 2 Cintrian Royal Guards. We'd really like to be playing them with our tutors. That way, we can play 2 per turn, and we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in our deck. So that means we should at least get rid of one of these guys, and maybe we settle for Zoria Runestone? Okay, they'll go with Endriga Eggs. And let's start small here with that Zoria Runestone, in case they do have removal. That way they're removing cards other than the Cintrian Royal Guard. Now, it's theoretically possible we could get one here. We don't. Suppose we go Runeword? And then with this, I suppose Spellweaver early is nice. Then second round, unfortunately, no Royal Guard. It is an unlikely thing to happen. Maybe we go Griffin Witcher? So the point of doing that first was in case they have a predatory dive. That way they're removing things other than Cintrian Royal Guard. So yes, we successfully baited it out. So now we play our Royal Guards. And because we have 4 tutors, and each tutor we can play twice, and we have exactly 8 of these Royal Guards, it is perfect in that sense. So let's go Oneiromancy here. And start getting them out. Okay, then Oneiromancy for them. Into another Predatory Dive. Now, this is the second special card they're playing on their turn, which means they only play 1 round of Predatory Dive. So not as much of a threat. It only removes 1 of those Royal Guards. Second special card will be Spontaneous Evolution. And losing that Royal Guard is not even that big of a deal, because we do have Renew. So we can play that, plus 1 other card from our graveyard if we'd like. Unfortunately, Adalia and Foltest cost too much for us to do that, but in case they do find another way to remove a Royal Guard, we can use Renew on that. So let's stick to the plan here. And they will Natural Selection, which would be just enough to remove that Royal Guard, and in some ways that is perfect, because that means we now have exactly 2 Royal Guards in our graveyard that we can bring back with Renew, so that lines up really well, and maybe we do that now. Okay, now it's Kikimor Queen, so my hope is that at this point, they're focusing on putting up points on their side, and so they'll just leave us alone and allow us to play all of our Royal Guards, because I'm pretty confident we'll outpoint them if that happens. So now let's go Amphibious Assault, or you guessed it, more Royal Guards. And of course, the boost from Amphibious Assault plus the boost from having a bunch of Royal Guards out there makes those guys pretty big. Okay, they're spawning in more drones, and they're probably looking to trigger this Thrive here on the Kikimor Queen. Or Chimera. Actually, that does both. So, yes, well done. But now let's go Amphibious Assault for our last 2 Cintrian Royal Guards in our deck. As we were saying, these are going to get pretty huge at this point. Now it's another Chimera, so same idea for them here, but I think as we were seeing, we are scoring more points per turn than they are, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Now let's play the Royal Guards directly from our hand. Now they're going Clear Skies. Okay. More boosting. But still doesn't look like they're keeping pace, because if we go with another Cintrian Royal Guard here, we continue to add to our total. Now they'll go Commander's Horn, so same idea here. Now what we do is with Teleportation, we replay whatever our smallest Cintrian Royal Guard is, so it looks like it's going to be this 8 for the first one. We'll replay you. And the next one is going to be either of these 11s. Now, bear in mind, do not use Teleportation on a unit that has Doomed. It will not work, but they realize what's happening here. They forfeit, so no need for that last Royal Guard, and no need for Voymir, which would, of course, have boosted them all even more. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here. And we'll go first. Okay, so we have a Royal Guard in our hand. We can use Oneiromancy to get the other one out from our deck. Then we can use Necromancy and Renew to get some out from our graveyard onto the board in a future round. Let's get rid of Zoria Runestone. Okay, good. Reinforcements is nice. I think we get rid of Margarita as well. Princess Pavetta can also help us get those cards out from our graveyard in a future round, so let's stick with this. So let's start by going with Oneiromancy into an Operator. And with that Operator, let's create some Royal Guards. Then with our second Oneiromancy, let's get Foltest and use him to create copies of that Royal Guard, and let's put our stratagem on Foltest to make him a little bit more capable of taking a hit. And then they're going to use Tourney Joust to try to get rid of that Royal Guard, and on the second attempt they will be able to. Of course, we have more of them. So let's go with Queen Adalia here to create another. And again, we're going to want to put it next to Foltest to create additional copies in our deck. And for what it's worth, they're Enslaved 6. A Mage Torturer onto Foltest, not so surprisingly. And then they're going to steal our Royal Guard. Of course, we do still have more, but they are doing a good job of taking them away from us. And of course, that was their leader ability, which they can only do once, so I think now we're looking to play the Cintrian Royal Guard directly from our hand. And of course, every turn that we finish with a Royal Guard next to Foltest, we're putting other guards into our deck. They'll go with Bribery, and with that, they'll get a Cintrian Royal Guard. I mean, okay, it's Nilfgaard. They're playing our deck against us. This time, ooh, okay. Margarita is presumably going to lock Foltest. Yeah. Alright, well now let's go with reinforcements on this Royal Guard. Create more of them. And of course, second copy means another Royal Guard, which means more points. And then Terra Nova, bear in mind they put the spying on Foltest specifically so that they could do this. So they are quite literally going to try to play our strategy more effectively than we can. We'll see about that. Because now what we can do is we can use a leader ability charge to get Amphibious Assault into our hand. Then maybe put a Teleportation back. And with this Amphibious Assault, we can get 2 more Cintrian Royal Guards. And of course, every time we do this, they're going to get bigger, and the reason why we have these guards in our deck to begin with is because we spawned in more copies using King Foltest. Alright, so they'll pass. So that means we can take the round 1 win here. And of course, we draw into our 2 echoed copies of Amphibious Assault, and then if we mulligan another card, we should get our second echoed copy of Oneiromancy. So why don't we get rid of a unit in that case to get Oneiromancy? And we do have a card to burn here in round 2, even if we are looking to keep round 2 short. And that card will almost certainly be Princess Pavetta. So let's stick with this. And then we'll play Pavetta so that we can get all of these Royal Guards back from our graveyard into our deck to play them in round 3. And of course, if you don't happen to have Pavetta in your hand in round 2 to do that, then that's a good use of your leader ability charge. They'll go with Jan to set up their hand and deck for round 3. So this is interesting because we actually could push a bit here in round 2. Now that we have all of these Royal Guards back into our deck, and the tutors to play those Royal Guards, and then we could replay them from our graveyard using a combination of Renew and Necromancy in round 3. So it is tempting, but I think we'll keep it simple for now. So that means they'll win round 2. Okay, and we did draw into a Royal Guard here, but looking at our hand, we no longer have any cards that require that we have a Royal Guard in our hand to work, like, say, Queen Adalia or the Operator, and we have enough tutors that we should be able to play all of our Cintrian Royal Guards using those, so let's get rid of you, and maybe get rid of Runeword. Okay, so they'll start with Hoakim into a Thaned Turncoat. Obviously, they can't give Hoakim Spying, he already has it, but they do have a target to deal damage to. Now, why don't we ease into things a little bit here with the Zoria Runestone and just see what we get? Obviously, the ideal outcome would be to get additional Cintrian Royal Guards, but that's relatively unlikely. So instead, maybe we go with the Griffin Witcher. Then on the second attempt, I suppose maybe an Arathusa student. Okay, now they're going with Cantarella. Now, we're hoping they don't steal any of our Royal Guards, but it is somewhat likely, given how many we have. They get Megascope instead, which I think is just about as well as that could have turned out. So now let's start breaking out the Royal Guards. Let's go with Oneiromancy into one here. Then another Oneiromancy into one here. And of course, the more guards we have, the bigger they'll get. We'll deal some damage to the turncoat. Then they're going to coup de grace, not so surprisingly, on a combination of Cantarella and either Cantarella or Joachim the second go-round. They do get a Royal Guard. That is unfortunate. I think we had just the right amount to use all of our tutors to get them. So any future Royal Guard that they steal from us is somewhat significant. Because remember, each subsequent guard is that much more impactful. So let's get more of them here with more Oneiromancy. Then we might opt to damage theirs, just in case they find a way to steal more of ours. Okay, and treason is unfortunate, but we did do a, well, I was going to say, a pretty decent job of deliberately making it so we didn't play any big cards next to each other, but of course they get to play treason twice. And before I forget, let's actually use a Megascope here on one of our Royal Guards. Technically speaking, it is ideal to start by summoning your Royal Guards, because of course when you summon a guard, you don't trigger that deploy ability, so you want to get your bad guards out there early, the ones that get summoned, and then only once you start playing them do you want there to be a bunch out there. Now this is how they could theoretically get a bunch of Royal Guards of their own, using Brothans and Duchess's Informants, combinations of those cards. So now let's go Amphibious Assault to get even more Cintrian Royal Guards. So as you see there, when we spawn in this Royal Guard, it does not get the boost because it got spawned, not played, and once again, they find a way to get more Royal Guards. They're playing them from our graveyard. That is not good, because we actually did have intentions of doing that with Renew and or Necromancy. So let's go Amphibious Assault now, and this time, we get our Royal Guard with the first one. But then with the second one, we are out of Royal Guards. We would have had the perfect amount had they not stolen one from us with Cantarella. So with this card, I think we go Voymir and use him to boost all of our Royal Guards. Okay, they'll go with another Duchess's Informant. So yes, this is a little bit threatening, because they may start to get a reasonable number of these Royal Guards of their own. And they'll forfeit. So we'll take the win. So there's a look at a high-powered Cintrian Royal Guard Northern Realms deck for the new dual casting seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. And check out all of our new Gwent playlists to see all of the previous decks that we've used for every event, including dual casting. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.